In today's video, we are going to visit the western shores of Ireland, the hauntingly beautiful lands that have inspired novels, legends, and fairy tales. I am continually drawn back to these shores, and I don't know why. I'm not even Irish. So, let me show you some of my favorite places along Ireland's western coast, and maybe, together, we'll understand my fascination with this beautiful land. Let's get into it. First of all, I get it. Ireland's western shore is not for everyone. If you're into shopping, big cities, and amusement parks, you'll probably be happier on Ireland's eastern shore, closer to Dublin, which we'll get to in a future video. However, Ireland's western shore is more secluded, dramatic, and mysterious. So if that's your thing, let's get started up on Achill Island, Ireland's largest island. Though it may be connected to the mainland by a bridge, Achill Island feels like a world in itself. Its landscape is a mix of dramatic cliffs, sweeping beaches, and peat bogs framed by mountains. Regardless of when you go, whether it's warm and sunny or a rainy day with dense fog, this place is magic. And don't worry if the weather is not to your liking, it often changes dramatically within the hour. My favorite place on Achill Island is Slievemore Deserted Village. I can't explain it. I've always been fascinated with how people lived, and here you could wander through the approximately 90 empty homes, now in ruins, and wonder how it must have been to live here 200 years ago. The cottages are small, and it's crazy to think an entire family once lived here. Peat was the main source of fuel for the fireplaces since, as you can see, trees were scarce. Peat is a soft earthen material that burns extremely well when dried. And Achill Island is a main supplier of peat for Ireland. The village's decline is tied to the Great Famine, or as we in America call it, the Great Potato Famine. And although the island's coastal access to fish spared it from the worst starvation, hunger and disease still hit hard. By the 1850s, the village was largely empty, though some cottages were used seasonally until the early 20th century. One piece of advice: talk to people, especially locals. One man told me that if I continued past the deserted village up the hill, I would find an old Roman watchtower. So, in the rain, I started up the hill. The dirt road became a dirt path. The dirt path eventually became just a rocky pasture, and I continued until finally I found it. It's not a beautiful structure, but a little piece of history that is not often seen by tourists. And the views were pretty awesome, even in the rain. Elsewhere on Achill Island, you'll find the popular castle that once belonged to the infamous pirate Grace O'Malley, also known as Granuaile, who lived during the time of Queen Elizabeth I. Her castle, known both as Grace O'Malley's Castle and Kildavnet Castle, is a perfect example of a 15th century Irish tower house. Definitely worth a visit, and you should definitely take some time to just wander around the island and explore. You never know where you'll make new friends. Renting bikes is a great way to see beautiful beaches, peat bogs, and traditional Irish landscapes. Keep your ears open and you just might hear some Irish, which is still spoken in some parts of the island. Let's head down the coast now to Clifden. Normally this is less than a 2-hour drive, but if you're like me, you get distracted by things along the way. Things like Kylemore Abbey, a former 19th century castle, now a Benedictine abbey. Take your time and enjoy the ride. Clifden is a market town on the western edge of Connemara in County Galway. Perched on a hillside overlooking Clifden Bay, its backdrop of rolling bogs, craggy peaks, and coastal cliffs feels quintessentially Connemara. From here, you can explore Connemara National Park, where you can hike Diamond Hill, or spot red deer and Connemara ponies. The Sky Road, a scenic 11-kilometer loop from Clifden, has beautiful views, not only of the Atlantic, but also some islands nearby, and even a glimpse of Clifden Castle, a 19th century manor now sitting in ruins. If it's a clear day, you might see the Aran Islands in the distance, but that's a big if. On your way out of Clifden, do take some time to explore the rest of Connemara. It's amazing how just the right wrong turn can bring you to something so hauntingly beautiful. Before we leave Connemara though, I wanted to take a second and show you a little bit of Lettermullan. I'm a little embarrassed to say that yes, I only stumbled into Lettermullan after having made a wrong turn 30 minutes earlier and didn't realize I was essentially lost. I only realized my error after the road I was on ended, since Lettermullan is an island. But if you're gonna get lost, Ireland is the place to do it, and I am so glad for the happy accident that brought me to this part of County Galway. With the classic red doors and stone fences, I felt transported to another time. I can only say so many times that the landscape is hauntingly beautiful, but in this case, I think that is a very apt description. Am I overstating it? Is it neither haunting nor beautiful? That's how I see it, but I'm curious how you see it. What words would you use to describe this area? Let me know in the comments. Okay, welcome to Galway. Galway sits where the River Corrib meets the Atlantic. The city's waterfront is popular for strolls along the river and includes the Long Walk, which is a stretch of colorful houses along the Galway Harbor. It's one of the most photographed and picturesque spots in the city, and it's especially popular at sunset. The name is misleading though, since the Long Walk is actually only a couple of hundred meters. The University of Galway keeps the city young, but tradition keeps it tied to history. You will regularly hear English and Ireland's traditional language, Gaeilge, spoken alongside each other. And Galway loves festivals. While St. Patrick's Day is widely celebrated as Ireland's national holiday, the Galway International Arts Festival, held in July, draws more visitors. Plus, the Pegasus Parade is a fun way to keep the festival accessible for everyone. Eyre Square is a great place for people watching and some markets. It's Galway's main square and is sometimes called John F. Kennedy Memorial Park, since the former president gave a speech here in 1963. The Spanish Arch is another place for a photo op. It sits at the end of the Long Walk and is a surviving section of the medieval wall that used to surround Galway. Rent a bike or take the bus out to Salt Hill and walk along the promenade. There's great views of Galway Bay, and it's nice to get out of the city for a little bit. To get further out of the city, Galway is a great place to day trip out to Kylemore Abbey, Connemara, the Cliffs of Moher, and the Aran Islands. And speaking of those last two, let's visit them next. First, the Cliffs of Moher. I don't think there is anything I can say about the Cliffs of Moher that you haven't heard 1,000 times already. They're beautiful, they're magnificent. Stop by and see them for yourself. Having said that, I will say one thing. There is no town nearby where you can walk to and grab lunch or do some shopping at a market. Getting there usually means driving yourself or taking a bus, either public transportation or charter. For public transportation, buses leave Galway beginning at 8 a.m. and a round-trip ticket will cost you about 24 euros. As for the cliffs themselves, at their highest point they are 214 meters tall. That's 702 feet. They also run along the coast for about 8 kilometers, or 5 miles. Over 20 species of seabird live among the cliffs, and the winds that come off the Atlantic can be so strong that some gusts have been known to knock people off their feet. Granted, the wind is coming from the ocean side, so it's less likely to blow anybody off the cliff, But seriously, don't go near the edge. Next stop, the Aran Islands. The Aran Islands are 3 islands that sit at the mouth of Galway Bay. If you liked Connemara, then you will love these islands. Known for the thick, durable sweaters that bear the island's name, the Aran Islands are also part of the Gaeltacht, which are regions of Ireland where the ancient Irish language known as Gaeilge is still spoken as a first language. These regions are extremely important to the preservation of traditional Irish culture, and the Aran Islands are a fantastic place to get a first-hand look at that culture. The biggest island is called Inishmore, and it is the most visited. If you're a day tripper looking for something cool to do, I would recommend a visit to Dún Angasa. If you've got the day and are in no particular hurry, rent a bike at the ferry port and explore winding stone-walled roads, grazing ponies, sea cliffs, ancient ruins, anything you want, all at your own pace. If we jump back to the mainland and head down the coast a bit, we come to the Dingle Peninsula. Like the Aran Islands, the Dingle Peninsula is also part of the Gaeltacht, so you're still getting a full immersive Irish experience. It's also generally considered one of Ireland's most picturesque and historically rich areas. I first came to Dingle because a local resident had told me that Dingle was his favorite place in Ireland. In addition to the jagged mountains and rugged cliffs, it also has soft beaches and lush green valleys. If you like history, the Dingle Peninsula has over 2,000 archaeological sites spanning from Neolithic tombs to Iron Age forts, including the Gallarus Oratory, a 1,200-year-old dry stone church. That's right, no mortar, and it's still standing after 1,200 years. Perched on the southern shore of Dingle Bay is the small town of Dingle, a colorful fishing town with a population of around 2,000. It's the peninsula's main hub, which features popular pubs, seafood, traditional music, and a quirky charm that's earned it accolades as one of Ireland's most picturesque towns. Much of the social and cultural life around Dingle seems to be centered around the pubs. That could explain why there are more than 50 pubs in the small town, which means, if you're doing the math, there is one pub for every 40 people. While the town is somewhat busy most of the year, summer months are especially busy. In the off-season, Dingle keeps hopping with festivals that celebrate everything from films to food. Last time I was there, it was in May, and it was just perfect. Few crowds and open roads. Here's a fun fact. There are more sheep on the Dingle Peninsula than there are people. Locals joke that sheep run the place, and during spring lambing season you'll see fluffy newborns everywhere. Keep an eye out for brightly dyed wool, used to mark ownership, adding pops of pink and blue to the green slopes. From Dingle, if you drive just an hour to Killarney, you'll be at the beginning of one of the most popular drives in Ireland, the Ring of Kerry. The Ring of Kerry, one of Ireland's most scenic drives, is a 179-kilometer loop, or 111 miles, that begins and ends in Killarney. Technically, you could begin and end anywhere along the loop because it is, after all, a loop. Killarney is just the most logical place because it sits at the beginning of the peninsula and is therefore the first town you're likely to come across when you approach the ring. To be honest, I feel I rushed this drive, trying to get to the next site and then the next site, and didn't really appreciate what I was driving past. The average visitor should expect about an 8-hour day if they're interested in experiencing the Ring of Kerry. There's plenty to see, so those 8 hours will seem to go by quickly. Also, for some reason, most bus tours do the loop in a counterclockwise direction. So if you're driving yourself, consider going clockwise to reduce the chance of getting stuck behind one of those buses. The Ring of Kerry is where you'll really start to get lush green hills mixed in with the coastline, mountains, lakes, and small villages that manage to stay quaint in the face of an onslaught of tourists. I can't really show you everything about an 8-hour day, but I'll touch on a few of the highlights. The town of Killarney. Killarney is more than just a hub for the Ring of Kerry. It is a destination in itself. Nearby is the Killarney National Park, Ireland's first national park, where you could easily spend a day or two exploring incredible sights like the Muckross House and Gardens, which gives off some serious Downton Abbey vibes. Or Ross Castle, a 15th century tower house right on the shores of Lough Lean. And before you leave town, take a stop by St. Mary's Cathedral, a neo-Gothic cathedral near the town center. The town of Kenmare is another good place to stop along the Ring, especially around lunchtime since Kenmare has become popular with foodies. It's an artsy town, so consider time to shop, browse, or take in the views of Kenmare Bay. Sneem is a good place to get out and stretch your legs. It's a small village with a quirky side. Similar to some other southern port towns like Kinsale or Cove, many houses are painted with a light pastel color, making them picturesque regardless of the weather. When you get to Castlecove Beach, you're going to want to stop. Golden sand and turquoise waters in Ireland? Absolutely. Take a swim or take in the view. Either way, take a break and relax. Remember, you're on vacation. History buffs might enjoy a stop at Loher Ring Fort, a recently reconstructed 9th century fort. Admission is free, but parking is extremely limited. Further down the road is the Cahergal Ring Fort, built around 600 AD, but also undergone some reconstruction. While these reconstructions have angered some people because they look too clean and pure, they do give visitors a better idea at what they would have looked like when they were new. The rest of the drive is beautiful Irish countryside with ocean views, stone forts, monasteries, quaint villages, castles, and just about anything else you can think of. Well, that's my tour of the western coast of Ireland, my favorite places and the land that is calling me back. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really does help out a small channel like mine. I hope to see you in the next one, and until then, stay safe and travel on.